examinations. So do visit AKS IAS Academy and the website of AKS IAS Academy. And about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are: I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations and internal security, and also the daily news analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will certainly help you to crack prelims and mains examination, because throughout my session I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases which are crucial for prelims as well as mains examinations. So by keywords and key phrases we can identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions for the preliminary examinations, and by imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answers or in your answer writing in the mains examination, wherein your answers in the mains would be precise and concise. And once your answers are precise and concise, you will certainly score higher marks in the mains examination. Therefore, my session, that is the AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis, will certainly help you to crack mains 2020 as well as prelims and mains 2021. So do get maximum benefit out of it, and do follow the complete session of AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And this session is in regards to the DNA, which we would be focusing on the 6th of October 2020. And the quote of the day is: stop dreaming and start doing. So definitely, when you have a goal and you are working for your goal, so certainly do not dream much about it, but stop dreaming and start doing, so that you will certainly get into the mode of success. And before I start the session, that is daily news analysis, I would say a very good morning to everyone, the one who are in the live and also in the live chat. Very good morning to D. Suvarna, Harika Yadav, Prasad, all of you. A warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And the daily news analysis for the day is which talks about the GST Council. So definitely I did discuss about GST Council and also the goods and services tax in my previous sessions in the daily news analysis. And GST Council has met yesterday in regards to the how they would go ahead with making sure that the compensation cess or GST compensation cess, which the center has to give it to the or the center has to make sure that the states would get the compensation cess for this year 2021, as it was discussed by the GST itself or the law of the GST, that the first 5 year period the center would go ahead with levying or extending the compensation cess to the states up to June 2022. So that was discussed yesterday. There was a council meet, and that council meet is the GST or goods and services tax council has met, but it failed to iron out differences. That means they haven't come out with any kind of solution which were between the center and the states. So definitely there are states which are in regards to the non-NDA parties, that means which are not ruled by BJP. Those states did not come up with any kind of final solution in regards to the differences of the compensation of cess, that is GST cess, wherein the center has to provide to the states, but the center here is asking the states to borrow. So this point we have discussed in the past, almost a fortnight ago, that the center or the finance ministry itself is asking the states to borrow, that whatever the difference the center is unable to pay or the compensation cess as of now, the shortfall, so that shortfall, that is an estimated of 2.35 lakh crore of shortfall, wherein the center is unable to go ahead with paying to the states. The center has asked the states to borrow the money, and later on by the GST compensation cess, that amount which has been borrowed by the states would be rectified or would be make sure that they would pay the borrowing itself, but the states are not ready. That means the non-NDA states are not ready to borrow from the market, and the amount what is falling shortage is 2.35 lakh crore of rupees. So here the point is the center, the states, and what the center is saying to the states is to borrow the money from the market, but the states are not interested in borrowing the money. What the states want is the center to borrow the money and give back the money, that is the compensation cess in regards to the GST, to the states. That is what the states are saying. Let the borrowing be done by the center. Why should the center ask the states to borrow and then fill up the money or the amount which is the shortfall? Let the center go ahead with borrowing and then give it back to the states, because it is as per the GST regime. Under the GST regime, it is very clear that the center will go ahead with giving the 5-year period of compensation cess would be provided to the states because of the GST introduction. And because of the GST introduction, the states will fall shortage of the revenue, and up to June 2022 there would be a compensation cess provided by the center to the states. So that is what the states are now asking the center, that why should we borrow the money? Let the center borrow the money and give it back to us, which is falling short in regards to the compensation cess of the GST. So definitely the states that don't pick either to borrowing. So here it is very clear, when the states are very clear that they are not going to borrow the money, let the center borrow the money and give it back to the states. But the finance minister is making it very clear, dismissing the suggestion. So this was a suggestion given by the states to the center, that let the center borrow the money and give it back to the states. But that suggestion is dismissed by Miss Sitharaman, that is Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, and says that the states that don't pick either of the borrowing options. So what the options put forth by the center, if the states are not listening to it, if the states are not adhering to the offer which has been provided by the center, so what the finance minister is saying, that the states have to wait till next year. Look at it. The center is asking the states to borrow, but the states are not really interested to borrow on its own. Rather, it wanted center to borrow and then give that money back to the states. That was the suggestion put forth in the GST Council by the non-NDA states. But the finance minister or the finance ministry itself has dismissed the suggestion put forth by the states onto the center, and it is saying if the states are unable to borrow, and if it is not offering what the center has put forward to borrow from the states, and borrow that the states have to borrow from the market, if it is not going ahead with, then the states have to wait till next year in regards to the compensation cess. So look at it, you borrow or you wait till the next year, till we get any compensation. It is a kind of thumb rule which is being played by the center onto the states. You borrow or you wait till next year. But if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the way the economic activities have been totally damaged, and there is not much of business revival which is taking place in various states, not only in regards to the non-NDA parties or non-NDA states ruled, but also the NDA state rules are also finding it very difficult to make sure that they run the revenue sources. So you borrow it or you wait till next year, is the statement made by the finance minister Miss Nirmala Sitharaman. And before I get into the next topic, I would say very good morning to Madhu also, and warm welcome to everyone who is watching this daily news analysis of AKS IAS Academy, who are in the live also, who are not in the live chat but in the live also. Please make sure that you are also part of the live chat and also mention your doubts so that we can have an interactive session. And the cess collection is used to repay the borrowing. So what the finance minister is saying is, let the states use, you borrow from the market, and whatever the cess collection does happen in the near future, that amount will be used to repay the borrowing which has been borrowed by these various states from the market. So that is a very clear statement made by the finance minister. And the next sitting will be on October 12, and then center has decided to release 45,000 crore of GST dues which it has to the states with immediate effect, or in the next week it will go ahead with releasing 45,000 crores. But what is pending? 2.35 lakh crores is being pending, but 45,000 crores would be released by the state, by the center to the states next week to meet the immediate spending which the states have incurred or during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And there are 10 states which are demanding full compensation because the states are unable to go ahead with running the revenue because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, and they say that as per the clause which have been mentioned in the GST laws, as per the clause which has been mentioned in the GST laws, the center should borrow. This is what the states are demanding. They are bringing in the clause which is mentioned in the GST regime or in the GST law, wherein the center should borrow the money and then give it back to or distribute or give it back to the center, give it back to the states by the center in regards to the compensation cess of the GST. And the center is argued that the entire GST shortage collection is not because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. They say that 97,000 crore shortfall has arisen due to GST implementation. Look at it. There is a point here, that is GST implementation. GST implementation, here the keyword. So the finance minister is making it very clear, there is only 97,000 crore which has actually been the shortfall because of the GST implementation, but the rest of it, that is 1.38 lakh crore, is due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. The center is making it very clear that the GST implementation is not the only reason for the entire shortfall of the GST compensation cess which the center has to provide to the states. Out of that entire 2.37 lakh crores of rupees, which is a shortfall of the GST compensation the center has to provide to the states, out of that only 97,000 crore is due to the GST implementation, and the rest is because of the COVID-19. So here the important thing what you need to focus is the GST council, GST compensation cess, and then the borrowing which the center is asking the states to go ahead. But there is a clause which the states are saying that as per the clause in the law, the center should borrow and give it back to the states. So this is very, very important in regards to the economy point of view, GST, goods and services tax. And before I further move into the next news, I would say a very good morning to Pratham also, and explain action on Kamath panel report. So we will look at what is this Kamath panel report and how is it related to the, which this report is related to what we will focus, and how Supreme Court has come into the existence and it is asking the center and the Reserve Bank of India to take various steps and implement the KV Kamath committee report which it has put forward its recommendation, so that these recommendations are in regards to the bailing out various specific sectors or specific sectors which have been distressed because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation and because of the economic activity has been damaged. Because of that, the KV Kamath committee report has given a recommendation to bail out specific sectors. Those sectors are 26 specific sectors. So we will look at it. So Supreme Court has asked the center and the RBI to take various steps so that it implements the KV Kamath committee report. So the KV Kamath committee report is on what? Is on bailing out the sectors, that is 26 sectors or sector specific bailing out because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. This could be a question for the prelims next year, that is 2021. Fine. That which among the following committee has recommended the bailout of 26 specific sectors which have been affected by COVID-19 pandemic situation? The answer is KV Kamath committee report. And then the bench has asked the government, which the government has filed an affidavit with the Supreme Court. That affidavit did not address the affidavits which have been filed or which has been provided by the government to the Supreme Court did not address several issues, because a petition was filed, a writ petition was filed in the Supreme Court against the action or against the plight of the borrowers. That is in regards to the interest, charging interest on interest, that is in regards to the compound interest which has been taken up by the center and the RBI, or to be more specific, the banks charging compound interest onto the borrowers who have taken loans, and that it is because of the loan moratorium scheme. Loan moratorium scheme which has expired on August 31. No doubt the loan moratorium scheme has been extended for further 2 years, but the point is, the issue is in regards to which the petition has been filed and writ petition has been filed in Supreme Court is in regards to the charging of interest on interest onto the borrowers. That is called as compound interest, and this is what the main issue is all about, that the Supreme Court is now asking the Centre and the Reserve Bank of India to implement the KV Kamath Committee report on the recommendation of bailouting the 26 specific sectors or sector specific areas or companies in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And the court has asked the government that whether the government has issued any circulars, policy decisions which the Kamath Committee panel has provided the recommendation to the government. So it is asking, look at it, the Supreme Court is asking the government whether the government has taken any kind of initiative like issuing a circular or policy decisions based on the Kamath panel report, which is in regards to the bailing out of 26 pandemic distressed sectors, and this is based on the suggestions to the loan resolution or loan restructuring scheme. This is very important, loan restructuring scheme. This is in regards to the bailout of 26 sector specific or distressed sectors because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And before I go into the next slide, Pratham has put forward one. He says disputes regarding GST compensation and implementation are to be resolved by GST Council or a separate tribunal or a Supreme Court. Yes, definitely it is by the any issue which is between the centre and the states in regards to the GST, goods and services tax, has to be resolved by the GST Council, no doubt about it. As per the laws or the main intention of the GST Council to be set up is the issues pertaining between the cess or the GST compensation cess which the centre has to provide to the states up to June 2022. Any issues have to be resolved by the GST Council, no doubt about it, Pratham. Group B, C, D sectors. Okay, you are talking about that sectors. Yes. Again, it is part of the core sectors. So here the main important is the loan restructuring scheme. Loan restructuring scheme on 26 specific sectors loan restructuring scheme. Specific sectors loan restructuring scheme. This is a crucial keyword which will be very useful for the mains 2020. And there is another news which talks about virus researchers get Nobel Prize for Medicine. Here the Nobel Prize for Medicine for 2020 is not for coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2 virus, not coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 virus, COVID-19 disease. So but it is for identifying hepatitis C virus. Please do understand that the two Americans and a Britisher has won 2020 Nobel Prize for Medicine, and that is for identifying hepatitis C virus, not SARS-CoV-2 virus, because they have been working for this, which their work has helped to limit the spread of the fatal disease and develop antiviral drugs to cure hepatitis C virus. So the scientists which have been involved, that is two Americans, are Harvey J. Alter and then Charles M. Rice, and the Britisher is Michael Houghton, and they have come together and worked, and they have discovered that yes, hepatitis C virus is responsible for the fatal diseases, and they have developed antiviral drugs for eradicating hepatitis C virus. So if you look at, they have been awarded 10 million Swedish crowns, that is 1.1 million US dollars, for discovering and proving. This is important, for discovering and proving that, please you understand the keywords here, they have discovered and they have proved. Discovered and proved. What is that? That a blood-borne virus could be hepatitis C, which inflicts almost 70 million people and 4 lakh death cases every year across the world. So this is the greatest discovery, and they have proved that it is a blood-borne virus which is causing the hepatitis C, and this virus belongs to flavivirus family, and it is named as hepatitis C. And this is again very important for prelims 2021. Flavivirus family, hepatitis C belongs to which among the following family? It is flavivirus family. And they have also gone ahead with identification, and this has made it possible because they have discovered and they have proved and they have developed the test to screen blood bank samples. So now they have found, or they have identified, and it was possible to various tests to screen the blood bank samples or supplies and greatly reduce the spread of the disease, which cause cirrhosis and liver cancer. So as this is a blood-borne, it is a blood-borne disease. Hepatitis C is a blood-borne disease. So thereby their discovery has proved it that they have to go ahead with various tests that could screen the blood bank supply. So the blood which has been supplied by the blood banks, there the testing takes place whether there is a possibility of the hepatitis C virus in the blood which has been supplied by the blood bank and which would be transfused into an ex-patient who is requiring that blood group, and probably if the blood group is carrying the hepatitis C virus, it would be again contagious, or it is transfused into the one patient who is been, the blood is again transfused. So definitely it is now this blood banks are testing for the hepatitis C virus even in the blood, that is in the blood banks itself, and this can cause cirrhosis, that is in regards to the liver, which because of excess of alcoholism it might affect, and that is a disease, and the liver cancer. This will restrict it. And if you look at it, this is a second Nobel Prize for hepatitis research. Please you understand it. It is not for the first time the Nobel Prize for medicine is been given for hepatitis C. Yes, for hepatitis C it is first time, but for hepatitis research it is second time. Please you understand. For the hepatitis research it is the second Nobel Prize for medicine. But earlier, that is in the year 1976, when Baruch Blumberg has won the Nobel Prize for medicine in the year 1976, it was for hepatitis B. It was for hepatitis B. For what? For determining one form of blood-borne hepatitis which is caused by a virus known as hepatitis B. And now the Nobel Prize for medicine is for hepatitis C, which is responsible for cirrhosis and liver cancer, which is a blood-borne virus. Hepatitis C is a blood-borne virus along with hepatitis B. And the Shade Prize recognizes research dating back to almost from 1960s they are going ahead with, and then they have found that liver diseases could spread by blood transfusion and that weren't caused by hepatitis A or B. So here what is very important is that hepatitis A and hepatitis B is not related to the liver diseases, but the liver diseases is because of the hepatitis C virus, because of the blood transfusion, and they weren't caused by hepatitis A and hepatitis B in regards to the liver disease. But in regards to the liver disease, it is in regards to the transfusion of blood, and wherein the blood, if it is carrying hepatitis C virus, only then it would be having a negative impact on the liver, that is because or else a liver disease might come into existence to the patients. And a team of Dr. Houghton in the mid 1980s itself, they created a clone of a new virus from fragments which they have found in the blood in an infected chimpanzee. So they have worked from the blood which they have taken, and they have cloned a new virus from the blood which has been infected by chimpanzee. And Dr. Houghton have been working since mid 1980s, and Dr. Houghton is one of the 3 persons who are being awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine. So he is a Britisher, Michael Houghton. From 1980s itself, he is going ahead with the cloning of the virus, wherein he has gone ahead, or he has found that in the blood of an infected chimpanzee. So this is again very important in regards to the science or current affairs. Nobel Prize for Medicine for 2021 prelims. Yes, hepatitis C, offshoot of zoonosis. Yes, to larger extent, yes, Pratham. And now we will look at the DRDO successfully test ASW missile system. So what is this missile system? We will look at ASW. So ASW is anti-submarine warfare. It is anti-submarine warfare. We will also look at what is SMART. So these are again very important keywords which will be very important for prelims 2021, or a better conceptual understanding in regards to the science and technology which is used in the warfare. So ASW is anti-submarine warfare, and SMART is submarine warfare missile assisted release of torpedo. Missile or else submarine warfare missile assisted release of torpedo. So SMART and ASW are the keywords which you need to keep on focusing it as part of the DRDO has successfully test-fired the missiles in regards to the science and technology. So it is a missile assisted release of lightweight anti-submarine torpedo system. So the successfully tested system, missile system, is lightweight anti-submarine warfare torpedo system by DRDO. And the main objective of the mission, yes, and the main objective of the mission is that the missile flight, that they were actually looking at what is the range of the torpedo system, and then what is the altitude it will go ahead with. Altitude, that is a projection parabola, and then separation of a nose cone, you have it at the torpedo wherein it opens and then it releases the torpedo. And then what is the deployment of the velocity reduction mechanism had to met perfectly. That means when it is hit from this particular area, then it will have if this is a target, so this is the parabola, that is the direction. So what kind of velocity it should have initially, that is high plus velocity, and the velocity which you need to reduce so that it will hit the target very precisely. So the deployment of velocity reduction mechanism, this is the keyword, velocity reduction mechanism. Also that was the main objective of the missile flight, wherein the ASW missile system was successfully tested by DRDO, and it was tested in Wheeler Island of the Odisha coast. And SMART is a game changer technology which is demonstrated in anti-submarine warfare, and the SMART gives a capability of ASW operation far beyond the torpedo range also. So you have a range for torpedo wherein it will go and hit the target, and this ASW or the SMART, that is in regards to the anti-submarine or submarine warfare missile assisted release of torpedo, will also be having the capability of hitting the target beyond the torpedo range, beyond the torpedo range. That is why the SMART is a game changer technology. Which among the following is a game changer technology? If they are giving ASW, torpedo, or in regards to the SMART, then SMART is a game changer technology. So this is very crucial for the science and technology in regards to the national security or defense itself. And the another news is Quad will discuss vaccine and 5G. Definitely Quad, that is quadrilateral, consisting of Australia, India, Japan and United States. So Quad will go ahead with having a meeting in Tokyo on October 6th, that is today, and they will definitely go ahead with having various concerns to be discussed over China, and that will be the significant turning point between the Quad members, that is Australia, India, Japan and United States, so that they will discuss the significance of how to counter or the growing concerns over China in the region, that is in the Indian Ocean or else in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. And definitely the agenda for the Quad, which will be conducted, or the meeting will take place today, October 6, 2020 in Tokyo. They would be discussing, and the agenda would be on the cooperation of 5G connectivity, and then on the cyber security, and then on the supply chain initiative of for manufacturing and maritime cooperation and infrastructure and connectivity So these are all, along with this connectivity and cooperation, maritime cooperation, distribution plans, which is very crucial at this junction. Distribution plans for the COVID-19 vaccine are all the areas wherein they would be having on the agenda to be discussed between the Quad members or the Quad countries, so that it will all be discussed as an agenda for the or coming up with the alternatives to Chinese initiatives, and all this will be discussed. That is cooperation on 5G connectivity, cyber security, supply chain initiative for manufacturing, maritime cooperation and infrastructure and connectivity. And this agenda is very important because, as I have said to you when I was talking about in the part 1 and part 2 of the strategy and approach to prepare for international relations for prelims and mains examination, I was talking about what are the keywords which are important: theme, and I was talking about aim, vision, or in regards to the objective, and also in regards to the, I was talking about even agenda. So even agenda is important. You can take it as theme also or agenda. Theme is a single line, but agenda is that what would be discussed. So agenda, you need to know about it, because that is why, or that is how you will be in a position to have a particular information that you can put that information as a short notes, and then that could be part of your answer writing. That could be part of your answer writing. You cannot just get into the mode of saying that, oh, I'll write an answer, and you will end up nowhere. You will be writing a thesis if you are going so. What is important is you need to know the keywords, you need to know the theme, aim, vision, objective of various groupings or the discussions which take place internationally or regional groupings, and based on that you need to prepare the short notes, or else I am saying it very clearly, you will end up writing a thesis which is not at all accepted and which is not recommended for UPSC mains examination. Short notes which are precise and concise, and you need to get into the mode of that answer writing. Only then your answers would be very, very impressive. So please do understand the agenda of the Quad, which would be a significant turning point to make sure that they would be successfully countering China, as it is the growing concern for all the countries. And then Pratham says that, can we say that Quad as a solution to the China-centric world supply lines? Yes, that is what they are also thinking in regards to the global supply chain for manufacturing. So they knew it very clear. Not only the Quad countries, even the European Union countries also have felt that the global manufacturing is being by China, or else the global hub of manufacturing is China now. And in the midst of the COVID-19, wherein there was no economic activity or damage to the economic activity across the world in all the countries, and the only country which was in the production method or mechanism was China, and China was ready to go ahead with supplying the goods or the PPE kits and various material which was used for the COVID-19 pandemic situation, and they felt that they're all substandard. So as it was controlled by China in the month of March, April, May, June, so definitely India has taken initiative in regards to the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme, that is self-reliant, and then that is making sure that India supports, or the government of India supports, the indigenous manufacturing units. Thereby the Quad is also looking at the global supply chain system, so that the Quad countries as well as the world countries apart from China will not be totally dependent on China in regards to the manufacturing or the goods. So definitely you can consider that Quad could be an alternative for the world supply or global supply chain system. And Beijing, in regards to the Quad together, it says that it has criticized that it is an anti-China front line and it is a mini NATO, and it is led by, it says, this is what the China is criticizing, and it says that it is a Cold War mentality, and it is also saying, or it is criticizing, and it is making it very clear that the tensions within each Quad countries will certainly grow, and then the Quad will dismantle, or the way it is now moving forward with a very cohesive manner will very soon be diluted and it will dismantle. That is what it is criticizing. Beijing is criticizing. That is, it says entire this Quad meeting which will take place, or which will take place today in Tokyo, is an exclusive click, only photo op, an anti-China front line, a mini NATO, and which is led by a Cold War mentality of US. And definitely the meeting will be discussing even the regional assessment. This is a keyword. It will be discussing the regional assessment. That is what? That is in regards to the developments in the South and East China Sea. South China Sea and East China Sea. So East China Sea, when we are talking about, it is again in regards to the threat to Japan. When we are talking about South China Sea, it is in regards to the all the Southeast Asian countries, that is Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Philippines, Brunei, all these countries which China do have a kind of border disputes or the coastal area disputes because of China going ahead with building or infrastructure development in the South China Sea, constructing the artificial islands in the Spratly Islands or in Parcel Islands or in 9- Islands, so that China will have its presence in the South China Sea, because South China Sea is exclusive economic zone, and which is rich in natural gas, So it wanted to have its dominance or prominence over the South China Sea. And definitely the other case or the regional issues which were discussed was in regards to the LAC, the kind of skirmish or the face-off between India and China along the LAC, and the Hong Kong issue, that is the voice of Hong Kong is been crushed, and the Taiwan issue. So all these will be discussed as part of the regional assessment. This is a keyword, as part of the regional assessment in the Quad. And then 4 ministers will also discuss the issue of including Australia, because Australia is certainly part of Quad, but it is not part of the Malabar exercise, but that will be discussed in the next edition of the Malabar exercise, which takes place in the month of November. So probably after the Quad meeting, there could be a particular outcome, a positive outcome, wherein Australia would be part of the Malabar naval exercise. So this is again in regards to the Quad, that is regional groupings. You can take it into consideration, regional groupings, Quad, and then focus in regards to the Quad, which will be very important for the mains 2020. So this, we would take this this news analysis in regards to the securing or the security or the kind of threat, security threat. It's a kind of security threat from China in South China Sea, not directly to India, but South China Sea, but to Southeast Asian countries, Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific Ocean. So based on this, that is the security threat or the importance or the strategic importance of Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific Ocean, how Quad will really help India in regards to the security threat posed by China towards India is the question which could be framed for the or taking as Quad as the probable keyword for the mains 2020. So the role and relevance of Quad to India in regards to the security threat from China or the strategic importance of Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific region. And then before I get to the next one, I would say Ram Kumar, a warm welcome, Shivamurthy, and then Kondal, all of you a warm welcome to AKSIS Academy Daily News Analysis. So please do look at these areas which will be very useful for mains examination. Quad will certainly be main examination for the mains examination, and the Quad ministers, four countries would be discussing in regards to the trade also. So trade is also focused here. So we are not just talking about the security, but we are also talking about the trade. Security and trade is on the agenda because Japan is wanting to have or push a plan for the trilateral supply chain resilience initiative. It is called as SCRI. It is supply chain resilience initiative. This is again very important keyword for the mains examination. So Quad, the topic, the Quad or the news, the issue of Quad or the topic of the Quad can be taken into consideration in regards to framing a question on trade, that is from economy point of view, trade. So definitely Japan being part of the Quad is certainly pushing for a plan that is trilateral trade between India, Australia and Japan, and the supply chain resilience initiative taken up by Japan is between which among the following countries? No doubt it is between Japan, India and Australia. And why Japan is going ahead with this plan? Because it wanted to reduce the dependence of Chinese manufacturing. Now Pratham, you will be getting, or you would certainly have a better understanding why Quad would definitely be as an alternative to China's global supply chain system. So Japan wanted to reduce dependence on Chinese manufacturing, especially as India has refused to be part of the ASEAN-led RCEP. What is RCEP? Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Again, this is a crucial keyword for mains examination. I mean, as India is not part of the RCEP, whether it will be a beneficial or it is an advantage or disadvantage from India's point of view, there could be a question. So definitely it is in regards to how best we can make sure that Quad arming is nothing but arming is that you have the Pratham, you have the Malabar exercise, that is enough. I think so. I mean, in regards to the four countries, it will be dealing in regards to the Malabar exercise to counter China. So definitely RCEP is also important, which is ASEAN led, which is again China's Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So when India has refused this, so there could be a possibility of the plan which has been pushed by Japan, that is the supply chain resilience initiative taken up by Japan, wherein it wanted trilateral, that is India, Australia and Japan, to be part of it in regards to building the trade ties. So this is very crucial information, and India will also discuss how other countries will also help in building east-west connectivity from India to ASEAN countries. So definitely we want not only look east policy, after that it was act east policy, which I have discussed yesterday, and then it was look west policy, and now it is east and west connectivity. Look at it. Once you understand these policies taken up by India's foreign policy or the government of the day, you will very clearly understand what the steps taken by the government of India in regards to the connectivity or the trade. So first, look east policy 1947 since independence, then act east policy, then look west policy, and then now east and west connectivity. To counter what? This, why we wanted this east-west connectivity from India to ASEAN countries? So that we wanted to counter the north-south connectivity which China is developing, which China is coming up with, and that it will be as a joint funding for infrastructure and connectivity projects in the Indo-Pacific region. So definitely the south-west or the north-south connectivity from China, as well as China which is funding jointly for infrastructure connectivity projects in the Indo-Pacific region. India is wanting the other countries to discuss on the building of east-west connectivity. So the keyword here is east-west connectivity. Focus on all this, because this could be the probable keywords which could be part of the question in the mains examination 2020 mains. So there is an US plan. That US plan is called as Blue Dot Network. Again, this is a keyword which could be part of the mains question, Blue Dot Network. And to rate what? To rate infrastructure projects for funding. The US has announced in January, and it is likely to be discussed even in the Quad meeting today, that is October 6, 2020. So what is the plan by USA? It is Blue Dot Network. So all these are very, very crucial in regards to the Quad, and Quad could be a probable question in the mains 2020. And there is another news which talks about artificial intelligence, and then Prime Minister Narendra Modi has gone ahead with inauguration of RACE 2020. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated RACE 2020. What is RACE 2020? Again, this is the keyword. So RACE 2020 is responsible artificial intelligence for social empowerment. Responsible artificial intelligence for social empowerment 2020, which was a virtual summit which was organized by the center, that is Government of India, has gone ahead with that inauguration. And then our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made it very clear at the time of the inauguration or in the virtual summit. He has said that India should be as a global hub for artificial intelligence. He wanted to make India a global hub for artificial intelligence, and he also stressed on the need for transparency, need for accountability, need for responsibility, that this artificial intelligence will not be used as a weaponization of the technology by non-state actors. That is, the artificial intelligence should not be used as a weaponization of technology by the terrorism or the terrorist organization. So he is making it very clear that it should not be, or it should not fall into the hands of the terrorist organization and the terrorists, wherein the artificial intelligence would be used as a weaponization of the technology by the non-state actors, that is the extremists or the terrorists also. So thereby there has to be a transparency, accountability and responsibility, that is collective responsibility, so that there would be no chance or no ground for the weaponization of technology by non-state actors. And this is the key, that is the algorithm transparency. This is a keyword. Algorithm transparency is the key to establishing the trust that the artificial intelligence would not or would certainly not be a weaponization of the technology by the non-state actors. So here artificial intelligence again in regards to the science and technology, or you can say information technology also part of it, that it could be asked. And again in regards to weaponization of technology by non-state actors, it could be part of internal security in GS paper 3. In GS paper 3 also it could be part of it. So how you would use the keywords of artificial intelligence or the rise, that is responsible artificial intelligence for social empowerment, use it in your answer as a short notes in the mains, making sure that the technology would not be used as a weaponization of the technology by non-state actors, part of the internal security or national security. And Pratham says that India's assertive role in geopolitics is a sign of increased initiative for development or a preventive step to counter Chinese centrism. First, see, that is what always India goes ahead with step-by-step process. No doubt, first and foremost is now at this moment for the national interest of the country, that is India, it is to counter China, no doubt about it. And then later on provide itself or send a message to the world that it is also, that is India is also having or playing a major role and an assertive role in geopolitics. No doubt about it. It would certainly go ahead with that. But initially is to counter Chinese aggressive mode. And then it will be attended, or it has been, or by 123 countries, the RISE 2020 virtual summit was attended. And then he also made it very clear, that is the Prime Minister of India made it very clear, artificial intelligence lacks the creativity and emotions which are the greatest strengths of humans. And this creativity and emotions are the unique advantages that humans had over machines. That is, he is talking about the artificial intelligence. But there is a possibility that artificial intelligence should not be used as a weaponization of technology by the non-state actors. And then the Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani has also stressed the urgent need for what? Regulatory framework on data. And this is a keyword here. So we need to certainly have the regulatory framework on the data. If we wanted the weaponization of technology should not be into the hands of the non-state actors, so certainly there has to be the regulatory framework. There has to be regulatory framework on data which is used for the artificial intelligence. And he has also observed, that is Mukesh Ambani has also observed, that intelligent data is now digital capital. So data is capital, data is money, intelligent data is digital capital, and it has a vital, and it is a vital national resource. So look at it, data is digital capital, data is, it's a national resource. And it said that in the coming decades nations will increasingly compete with digital capital. When we are talking about compete with digital capital, that means it is equal to, it will compete for the intelligent data, not data, it will compete for intelligent data. So data is digital capital, data is vital national resource. So thereby we need to have a regulatory framework on data, so that which the data would be used as a raw material for the artificial intelligence, and thereby the artificial intelligence should not be used as a weaponization of technology by the non-state actors. For that we need to have a regulatory framework which would be a digital capital and a vital natural resource for the nation or for India itself. So this is in regards to the artificial intelligence, which you need to focus, which will be very, very useful information for internal security and also in regards to the information and technology on based on the artificial intelligence. And then Sirish Kumar has also joined. A warm welcome to you, Sirish Kumar. Azhar Sheikh has also joined. Okay, he said thank you. A warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy also, all of you. And then now we will go ahead with recapitulating the DNA which we have gone through it today. So we have looked at this GST Council, which is again very important information in regards to the economy point of view. And then this is again in regards to economy, wherein Supreme Court has asked the center and the RBI that what action is being taken on regards to the KV Kamath panel report. On who is KV Kamath? He was the former chief of the ICICI and also in regards to the NDB, New Development Bank, KV Kamath panel report. So this is information which will be very useful for current affairs economy point of view. And this is in regards to the Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine, which could be used in regards to the science or medicine for prelims point of view. And this is in regards to defense, or else in regards to the internal security, wherein we are talking about the ASI missile, and also in regards to the SMART, which will be very crucial information for prelims and a better understanding about the missile system. And then Quad discussing, this is in regards to international relations, which could be a dynamic part, that is the current affairs, contemporary current affairs, which we can focus. So this definitely trying to counter China's initiative. And then in regards to the information technology, we did talk about artificial intelligence, which is very important again here in regards to, we have discussed about RISE 2020. So all these are very crucial, and I hope this DNA, that is daily news analysis of the Hindu newspaper, is certainly helpful. Okay, names of the 3 members. Okay, fine. Azhar, definitely. See, the first one is, it is distributed between 3 members, and within the 3 members, 2 are Americans and 1 is Britisher. 2 are Americans and 1 is Britain. So Americans are Harvey J. Alter. Azhar, this is for you. American, in the 3 are Harvey J. Alter, second one is Charles M. Rice, and the Britain, that is third one, Michael Houghton. Harvey J. Alter, Charles M. Rice, Michael Houghton, or Houghton. Is it okay? Azhar, Sheikh, please respond to me. Harvey J. Alter, Charles M. Rice, Michael Houghton. So I hope you have got the 3 names here. Okay, fine, thank you. And then I would say a very big thank you to all, hoping that this session, that is AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis, was informative, knowledgeable in regards to the prelims 2021 and mains 2020 and prelims 2021. So thank you very much, and then good luck for your preparation. And then do like the video, share the video and subscribe the video, and also visit the AKS IAS Academy website, and also subscribe the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then I would come up with the daily news analysis again tomorrow at 7:30 AM. But prior to that, I would say please do maintain consistency in regards to the prelims point of view, and then stick to your schedule, and also make sure that you take care of your physical health and mental health. So certainly consistency, schedule, and then your physical health and mental health are very important. Please do make sure that, okay, Pratham says as, sir, please start detailed editorial analysis. Would certainly, once the AKS IAS Academy is also for it. So I would definitely try it, and then talk to AKS IAS Academy also. Fine. Thank you. So see you tomorrow at 7:30 AM.